There is a pain that does not scream, does not bleed, and does not show up on any medical exam, but that tears you apart inside like no other. It is the dull ache of realizing, in some silent corner of your soul, that the person you trusted most, the one you defended in front of your entire family, the one you helped when no one else would, is acting against you behind your back at this very moment. And I need to tell you a truth that will stop your heart for a few seconds. Archangel Michael, the warrior of God, the angel of the flaming sword who commands the heavenly hosts, is literally weeping for your life right now, not because he is weak, but because he sees something that you still refuse to see. You did not arrive at this video by chance. You were led here. And before you blink, before you sigh once more thinking you are overreacting, I want to remind you of the main secret that practically all of humanity has forgotten. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you feel you already are. And if you are feeling betrayal, abandonment, a knife in the back, it is because there is a state of consciousness operating within you that is calling exactly that into your experience. Calm down. It is not your fault. It is not. But as of today, it is your responsibility. Because I am going to teach you, based on the law of assumption, the profound teachings of Neville Goddard, the silent wisdom of Joseph Murphy, and the quantum physics of the heart, exactly what to do so that Archangel Michael stops weeping and begins to wield his sword in your defense. You will discover the common mistake that cancels your manifestation of protection, the reason why some people attract serial betrayers without ever understanding why, and the bridge of incidents that your subconscious is setting up at this very moment to get you out of this trap. But I warn you, what you will hear here no one told you at church, no one told you in therapy, no one explained in those shallow videos that keep asking you to simply ask God. Asking doesn't work. Begging doesn't work. Feeling is the secret. And when you understand what I am about to share, your relationship with truth, with falsehood, and with spiritual protection will never be the same. Breathe deeply. Place your hand on your chest. This heart has an electromagnetic field that extends meters beyond your body, and every feeling you cultivate is literally rewriting the fabric of your reality. And it is exactly at this point, with you feeling that weight in the pit of your stomach, that I need to tell you something that is not a coincidence. You are here now because your spirit knows that something is about to break around you. That restlessness that doesn't let you sleep well, that tightness for no apparent reason when a certain person enters the room, that sudden urge to cry without a clear reason, this has a name. This is your inner self, screaming what your rational mind has not yet accepted. And few, very few, manage to decipher this warning in time to protect their home, their children, their marriage, and even their own sanity. That is why I prepared a powerful digital book for you. It is called How to Know If You Are Saved on Judgment Day, and the link is pinned in the description of this video and at the top of the comments. Hundreds of brothers and sisters who were exactly where you are now, suffocated by silent betrayals, read this material and reported that within a few days they saw the truth that was hidden right in front of their eyes, and more than that, they understood the path of true spiritual sealing. This content may be taken down at any moment because of the depth of what it reveals, and if Archangel Michael brought you here, do not ignore this call. Comment, Amen, I receive it, and go down to the description now. Your protection begins with an act of spiritual obedience. Now that you have opened your heart, I need to show you something that will disturb you deeply. The betrayal you are experiencing did not start yesterday. It did not start last week. It started years ago when you, without realizing it, recorded in your subconscious a silent belief that echoed like an invisible mantra. People always disappoint me. Perhaps it was an absent father. Perhaps a mother who compared you to your other siblings. Perhaps a first love who abandoned you during your worst phase. Perhaps that childhood friend who vanished when you needed them most. Each of these experiences, all of them, were small seeds planted in the deepest I am of your identity. And your subconscious mind, faithful as a servant who obeys without question, began to deliver more and more proof of that belief, because for it, repeating the known pain is safer than risking an unknown joy. Neville Goddard taught a truth that burns like an ember in the soul. You can only receive what you are capable of assuming as your own. If deep down, way down deep, you assume that you are betrayed, abandoned, forgotten, then that is exactly what life will deliver to you, even if you pray 3 times a day, even if you fast once a week, even if you attend every service. Prayer without a change in state of consciousness is just a loud repetition of empty words. And this, my brother, my sister, is what Archangel Michael cannot bear to see, because he has orders from the Father to protect you, but he cannot enter a fortress that you keep open to the enemy from within. I know this hurts. I know that perhaps you are thinking that you never asked to be betrayed, and this is the hardest part to accept. Asking has nothing to do with it. What has everything to do with it is what you feel about yourself when no one is looking. It is the inner talking that you maintain when you are alone in the car, when you are lying in bed looking at the ceiling, when you are washing the dishes thinking about the bills that need to be paid. This dialogue, this constant murmur of no one values me, no one is faithful, everyone always uses me. This is the true decree that your inner mouth is pronouncing all the time. And the universe, obedient as the good servant in the parable, is just delivering to you the confirmation of what you yourself declared. And here is the common mistake that cancels your manifestation of protection, the mistake that no one told you about. You are trying to block betrayal with fear, with obsessive vigilance, with that constant restlessness of someone who keeps snooping through the other person's phone, listening behind the door, interpreting every look. But fear is fuel for what you fear. The more you feel that you will be betrayed, the more you become the perfect energetic magnet for the betrayer. Vigilance through fear does not protect, it attracts. What protects you is the state of consciousness of someone who is already protected. Do you feel the difference? It is one thing to say, I don't want to be betrayed, and something completely different to assume the deep feeling of, I am surrounded by loyal people and heaven watches over my home. And that is why I need to alert you now, with all the urgency this message deserves. If Archangel Michael brought you to this video, it is because there is a spiritual window open, but it does not stay open forever. Do not delay this call. The digital book, How to Know If You Are Saved on Judgment Day, is waiting for you in the description and at the top of the comments, and it will deliver exactly what your family needs to get through what is coming. Comment the word sealed now and go down to the link. Heaven watches who answers the call. Now pay close attention, because from this point on I'm going to give you the spiritual gold that will dissolve any structure of betrayal in your life from the inside out. And the first step is to understand what Neville Goddard called the 4th dimension. You live in a 3-dimensional world with height, width, and depth, but there is a 4th layer, invisible to common eyes, where everything that will happen in your reality is already happening in the form of a feeling. Everything that exists in your material life today, without exception, existed first in this 4th dimension. Your house was a thought before it was brick. Your job was an imagined interview before it was a signed contract. Your relationship was a feeling before it was a ring on your finger. So why do you still believe that, to change this betrayal, you need an external action, a confrontation, a fight, a revenge? You don't. The real battle happens on another plane, and that is where Archangel Michael is waiting for you to take your stand. When you assume within yourself, with a warm heart and calm breathing, the feeling of already being a person surrounded by loyalty, already being someone who has a protected home, already being someone whose family is spiritually shielded, you create a version of yourself in the 4th dimension. And this version begins to pull into your 3-dimensional experience a sequence of small, apparently common events that Neville called the bridge of incidents. These are significant coincidences, strange encounters, messages that arrive at the right time, revealing dreams, words from strangers that confirm what you need to know. It is as if heaven, noticing your new state, began to reorganize the backstage of your life to deliver to you what you now assume to be true. And here is the part that few manage to apply: persistence. You must occupy the state of the wish fulfilled and remain in it, even when your physical eyes still show you the old betrayal, even when your heart tightens, even when the enemy whispers in your ear that nothing is changing. Persistence in the feeling is the key that 9 out of 10 people lose. They start the exercise excited, but on the 3rd day, when the betrayer sends a cold message, they return to the old state of victim and break the manifestation. Do not be that person. Be the 1% who holds firm to the feeling, until the bridge of incidents is complete. Think of Mary, a 52-year-old housewife in Chicago, married for 28 years, who discovered small signs that her husband was talking to a co-worker in a strange way. Instead of going on the attack, instead of going through his phone in the middle of the night, she applied exactly what I am teaching you. Every night before sleeping, she occupied the state of consciousness of a beloved woman, a chosen woman, a woman whose home is sealed by Archangel Michael. She felt in her whole body what it would be like to wake up in the morning and see her husband looking at her like in the early years. In 21 days, without a single fight, without a single confrontation, her husband collapsed in tears in the living room, told her everything about the inappropriate closeness with the co-worker, asked for forgiveness, and cut off the relationship on his own. Mary did not retaliate. Mary did not watch. Mary assumed. And Archangel Michael did his job in the invisible field. And it is exactly this strength that you are being called to awaken now. That is why I prepared the powerful digital book for you, How to Know If You Are Saved on Judgment Day, with complete nightly exercises for spiritual sealing and I am decrees applied to the protection of the home. The link is in the description and pinned at the top of the comments. Those who ignore the call of Michael's sword pay the price of continuing to fight alone. Comment, I accept the protection, and go down to the book now. Time is short. Now let's get down to the practical part, the part that will give you the exact roadmap for this week. The most powerful technique Neville Goddard taught is called reprogramming in the state akin to sleep, and there is a scientific reason for this, which connects perfectly with spiritual wisdom. When you are about to sleep, in that state of being half awake, half asleep, your brain waves enter a frequency called theta. In this state, the critical barrier of the conscious mind drops, and everything you feel at that moment descends straight into the subconscious, without filter, without resistance, without judgment. It is the gateway to the fourth dimension. It is the sacred portal that Archangel Michael uses to let his messengers enter your field. So here is what you are going to do starting tonight, and for 21 nights in a row without fail. Lie in bed, turn off the light, turn off your phone. Breathe deeply 3 times, letting the air enter through your nose and exit through your mouth as if you were gently blowing out a candle. Place your right hand over your heart and feel the warmth of your own palm. And then, within your mind, you build a short scene, a scene of at most 10 seconds. But a scene that proves irrefutably that the betrayal has dissolved and that your home is now sealed. It could be the image of your husband hugging you the way he hugged you when you were dating. It could be the scene of your daughter coming to tell you an important truth that had been hidden. It could be your best friend calling you to ask for forgiveness for something you didn't even know she had done. It could be your business partner handing you an unexpected contract that proves his loyalty. The scene needs to be specific to your life. It cannot be generic. And here is the secret within the secret. You must not just visualize. Visualizing is just the beginning. You need to feel. Feel the scent of the other person's skin. Hear the sound of their voice. Feel the warmth of the tears that stream from your eyes in gratitude. Feel the physical tightness of the hug. Feeling is the secret. Repeat this phrase now in your mind. Feeling is the secret. Without the feeling, imagination is just a mental soap opera. With the feeling, it becomes a work order for the universe to execute. And then, after living this scene intensely for 10 seconds, you repeat it in a loop 3, 4, 5 times until you fall asleep in that feeling. You fall asleep with the smile of someone who has already received. You fall asleep with the certainty of someone who has already seen the result. And it is at this point that your I am begins to restructure itself, because sleeping in Neville's spiritual language is equivalent to dying to the old state and being reborn in the new. You wake up the next day literally as a different person, even if your rational mind doesn't notice. The person from yesterday, the victim of the betrayal, stayed in the bed. Who got up was a version of you that has already assumed the victory, and this version emits a different frequency. The people around you notice, even without understanding. The betrayer feels an inexplicable discomfort. Allies begin to approach, and Archangel Michael finally finds a clean field to do his job. But I need to warn you about 3 traps that will try to make you give up, because they will certainly appear in the first 10 days. The first trap is the mirror test. On the second or third day, physical reality will show you exactly the opposite of what you are manifesting. The betrayer will seem bolder. The situation will seem worse. External signs will say that nothing is working. This is the cruelest test, because it is exactly at this moment that you need to laugh inwardly and say, I know what I'm doing. I see with the eyes of the Spirit, not with the eyes of the flesh. Whoever passes this trap is 90% free. The second trap is the murmuring of the past. Old memories will arise in your memory, old betrayals, old pains, as if your mind were trying to prove to you that this is your destiny. Your aunt will call you remembering something from 10 years ago. You will open a drawer and find an old letter. A smell will transport you to a painful scene. Do not fall for it. This is your old state of consciousness, fighting its last battle before dying. Say in a low voice but with conviction, this is no longer me, the I am that I assume now is different, and move on. The third trap, and this is the most treacherous, is pride disguised as spirituality. You will start to feel a desire to prove to the betrayer that you discovered everything, to give a hint, to post a message on social media, to send an audio cutting off the relationship. Do not do it. Every harsh word you speak, every gesture of retaliation, every aggressive text you publish is a stab in your own manifestation. You are asking for protection and the leading role of revenge at the same time, and heaven cannot deliver two opposite things to you. Choose peace. Choose silence. Choose the posture of someone who has already won. The righteous know how to be silent when Archangel Michael is in action. And while you apply this technique at night, during the day you need to take care of your inner talking. Remember that I said that the silent dialogue is the true decree. So from now on, every time you catch yourself thinking something like, she will betray me again, or he already did this before and will do it again, or I am a magnet for fake people, you stop in the middle of the thought, breathe deeply, and correct it. Not with brute force, not by fighting with yourself, with kindness. You say internally, yes, wait, this is not my new I am. My new I am is someone surrounded by loyalty, someone whose relationships are blessed, someone whose family is sealed by heaven. And you repeat this until the emotion changes, not the phrase, the emotion. You need to feel a slight relief in your chest, a small rest in your shoulders, a breath that becomes deeper. This is the sign that the frequency has changed. Look at how all of this connects with science, so you don't think this is cheap mysticism. Research from the HeartMath Institute in the United States showed that the human heart generates an electromagnetic field 60 times stronger than the brain, and this field extends in all directions around you. Every deep feeling you cultivate organizes this field in a different way. Feelings of fear, anger, betrayal, resentment leave this field chaotic, irregular, and attract situations of equal chaotic frequency into your experience. Feelings of gratitude, love, security, loyalty organize this field in a coherent pattern and attract harmonious situations. This is not just faith. This is physics. And when you combine deep faith with knowledge of the physics of the heart, you become a force impossible to knock down. By the way, it is precisely here that many people lose. They try to manifest with the mind, but forget the heart. You can repeat 1,000 times, I am loved, I am protected, I am surrounded by loyalty. But if the heart is still carrying the emotion of betrayal, the manifestation does not descend. The mind sends the request to heaven, but the heart sends the bill of reality, and heaven obeys the heart, always. That is why the psalmist wrote, keep your heart with all vigilance, for from it flow the springs of life. It is not a metaphor. It is a technical instruction of the divine I am. I will give you an extra exercise now, which few channels teach, and which has tremendous power to accelerate the bridge of incidents. It is called the prayer of the fulfilled realization. You do not ask God, you thank God. Instead of saying, Lord, I ask you to protect my family, you say, Lord, I thank you for protecting my family. I thank you for revealing the truth. I thank you for restoring everything that was broken. Do you feel the difference? The first is a request, and a request is a confession of lack. The second is anticipated gratitude, and gratitude is a confession of having already received. Whoever gives thanks before assumes the realized state, and whoever assumes the realized state steps directly into the fourth dimension. And do you know when this prayer has even more power? When you are alone in the car going to work, when you are making breakfast, when you are in the shower. These common moments, these automatic moments, are the moments when the subconscious is most open. Take advantage of each one of them. Transform every mundane task into a manifestation ritual. The scarcity you feel with the bills at the end of the month, transform into gratitude for the provision that is arriving. The loneliness you feel on the nights he comes home late without explanation, transform into gratitude for the true love that is about to be revealed. The anguish you feel when you remember that brother who cut off contact for no reason, transform into gratitude for the reconciliation that is being stitched together behind the scenes of heaven. And here is a hard but necessary truth. Some people will leave your life. Yes, they will leave. When you change your state of consciousness, when you assume a new I am, certain old connections simply fall apart because they can no longer vibrate at your new frequency. And this is not punishment. This is purification. The betrayer who was too close perhaps needs to move away so that heaven can enter. The friend who always belittled you perhaps needs to disappear to make room for the true alliance. The relative who always emotionally blackmailed you perhaps needs to take a break from your presence so your air can circulate again. Do not mourn this loss. Celebrate the pruning. The tree that is pruned produces more fruit in the next season. And Archangel Michael is the gardener who holds the shears with steady hands. And while you go through this purification, remember something essential. The person who is betraying you now, deep down, is not betraying you. They are playing a role in the plot of your transformation. Without this betrayal, you would never seek out this video. Without this pain, you would never awaken to the law of assumption. Without this punch to the chest, you would continue sleeping on the autopilot of the old I am. When you understand this, you can forgive. And forgiving is not saying that what they did was right. Forgiving is cutting the energetic cord that still binds you to their pain. It is letting go of your side of the weight. It is letting heaven collect the part that belongs to heaven to collect. You only take care of your part, assuming the new state. There is a biblical scene that perfectly illustrates this, and few preachers go into this detail. When David was betrayed by his own son Absalom, he did not retaliate. He left Jerusalem in silence. And while he was leaving, a man named Shimei began to throw stones at him and curse him. David's soldiers wanted to kill the man. David said, "Leave him, perhaps God is using him." Look at the level of state of consciousness of this king. He was being stoned, betrayed by his own son, fleeing his own house, and even so he maintained the posture of someone who knew that heaven was behind it all. And guess what happened? David returned to the throne. Absalom fell. And Archangel Michael? Archangel Michael was there all the time waiting for David to finish his inner part to do his outer part. It is exactly how it works. Heaven does not act before your consciousness is established. Heaven confirms what you have already assumed from within. Now think about your life in the next 6 months. Just imagine, that from today you apply all of this with persistence. Imagine what it will be like to wake up in the morning knowing that your house is spiritually shielded. Imagine what it will be like to lay your head on the pillow without that restlessness of someone who is expecting the worst. Imagine what it will be like to look at your children knowing that the invisible fence around them is strong. Imagine what it will be like to see the masks fall around you without you needing to rip any of them off. Imagine your work prospering because the envy of colleagues lost the power to reach you. Imagine your health improving because the emotional stress of constant distrust left your body. Imagine your smile returning, that smile you haven't given in a long time, that smile of the person who knows they are loved by heaven. All of this already exists in the fourth dimension, waiting for you. The only thing that separates this life from the life you live today is your willingness to assume the feeling now, before the proof, before the result. And it is exactly this leap of faith that Archangel Michael is waiting for. He cannot descend with the sword if you are still playing the game of fear. He can only act when you act first in the invisible. And it is here that I need to give you the last warning before we close. If you reach this point in the video, It is because something deep within you recognized every word spoken. This recognition is not mental, it is spiritual. It is your soul confirming that all of this is true for you. And when a soul confirms a truth, it receives a responsibility, the responsibility to apply it. Because knowledge without application becomes a weight, not a wing. Do not leave this video thinking that understanding is enough. Understanding is just the beginning. Feeling, assuming, persisting, these are the verbs that separate those who manifest from those who keep complaining. And remember the book I introduced to you? How to Know If You Are Saved on Judgment Day is the perfect complement to this video because it deepens the nightly sealing exercises. It gives you the exact I am decrees for every area of life. It teaches you the step-by-step to recognize the signs of the fourth dimension in your daily life. And it reveals the prayers of fulfilled realization that even today, the most experienced mystics use to shield their families. All of this, in simple, practical, direct language, without complicated terms, without obscure theology. Made for you who live real life, with children, bills, work, and the challenges of the United States today. The link is pinned in the description and at the top of the comments. Whoever reads it transforms. Whoever ignores it stays exactly where they are. Before I close this message, I want you to do one last thing with me. Place your right hand on your heart, as you did at the beginning. Breathe deeply, and repeat in a low voice, with your whole soul. I accept the protection of Archangel Michael over my house. I assume the state of consciousness of the beloved and loyal person. I am surrounded by truth and heaven watches over my home. Repeat it 3 times. Feel the warmth rise from your chest to your throat. This warmth is the sealing beginning. This warmth is the bridge of incidents being built right now while you listen to my voice. This warmth is the confirmation that Archangel Michael heard, and he no longer weeps. Now he rises. You cannot go back to sleep after all this. You cannot complain with the same intensity anymore. You cannot blame the betrayer anymore. From this moment on, the only thing that is in your hands is persistence. 21 days. 21 days of nightly exercise. 21 days of reformulated inner talking. 21 days of prayer of fulfilled realization. And what you will reap after that is so different from your current reality that you yourself will have difficulty recognizing the person you were before this video. And to close with the golden key that this moment deserves, I remind you of one last thing. The like on this video, the subscription to this channel, the sharing with that friend or brother who is going through the same betrayal as you. All of this is not just an action on YouTube. It is a decree of acceptance. When you like, you confirm to heaven that you received the message. When you subscribe, you open a channel of constant messengers in your life. When you share, you activate the bridge of incidents on a scale. Do not despise these small gestures. Small gestures done with an elevated state of consciousness move mountains, and the digital book, How to Know If You Are Saved on Judgment Day, I repeat one last time, is waiting for you in the link in the description and at the top of the comments. It is your field manual for the next 21 days. Do not leave here without it. Heaven called you today, and heaven does not call twice in the same way. Comment, I obey the call, download the material now and start applying everything you heard tonight. Archangel Michael no longer weeps. Now he wields the sword, but he waits for your step first. Take that step. And may the peace that surpasses all understanding descend upon your house starting today. Amen.